She arrives all full and amazed looking at her engagement ring and doesn't notice when leaving the elevator that another woman who is there holds her dress and it gets stuck in the elevator and she despairs because of her dress, and while the elevator goes up she loses her dress and despairs even more as she gets naked little by little, and with that she ends up getting half naked there in the entrance row. And in desperation she tries to cover herself with her hands and then finds a towel there. And covers herself as she calls the elevator again. At that moment, her fiancé appears and wants to know what she is doing with a towel there in the entrance row, and she then says that her dress got stuck in the elevator and she was left without clothes there. But he doesn't seem to believe what she's saying and says that the story is badly told and that she wants to know what is going on. She then says that she doesn't even know what happened right and says that her dress got stuck in the elevator and that she is waiting for the elevator to come back and he will see that her dress will still be stuck there. He says he can't believe what she's saying, but he's going to wait, and says that it doesn't make sense that the elevator has trapped her dress. She then desperately tells him to wait, and at that moment the elevator opens, but stops. Your surprise has a boy with your dress in his hands to deliver. Her fiancé then wants to know what that means and who is that guy who is there with her dress in his hands. She says she doesn't know him, but he doesn't believe it and calls her a liar, and she continues to say she doesn't know him. Boy and says that there was no one inside the elevator. The boy then asks her if she is lying to her fiancé and says they spent the night together the night before, but she insists that she doesn't know him and says that it's all a lie and that she doesn't know why he's making it up. All that, the boy then says that she is deceiving them both. She then says that he is lying and that she doesn't even know him. Her fiancé then demands an explanation at that moment and says that he doesn't understand anything and that she is wearing a towel there, and he appears with her dress in his hand and he wants to know what is happening. The boy then hands her the dress and says that if she wants to see him again she can call him. Then she takes his dress and says she doesn't even know him, let alone have his number. He then says she is pretending not to know him and says it's okay, but if she wants she can call him. She says she doesn't know him and calls him crazy, and her fiancé says he doesn't believe she was cheating on him and that he was arranging their wedding and that he gave her an engagement ring while she was cheating on him all this time, and then he asks for the ring back. She then swears that she doesn't know the boy and that she had never seen him and that she never betrayed him and asks him to listen to her. He then asks for the ring back and takes the force off her finger, and she begs him while he says that it's all over between them and that he never wants to see her again and tells her to get out of his sight and says he never went through that in her life. He leaves and she stays there not knowing what to do and crying for having lost her fiancé. She then thinks that all that was a setup to end her marriage, but that she would find out everything. After the end of his marriage he is walking in the square with a friend who was actually his ex-girlfriend. They walk and talk smiling, and at that same moment his fiancée is passing by while she does her routine walk and then see them. The girl then manifests herself saying she doesn't know her from anywhere. Then his fiancée tells him that on the day of the event she didn't was alone in the elevator and says that that girl was in the elevator with her. The girl then says that she is mistaking her for someone else and says that she has never seen her in her life. The bride says that she is not an easy person to forget and that she remembers her very well in the elevator. The girl then apologizes and says that she is really confusing her and then asks him who that girl was there. He then says he doesn't know what she wants and says that girl over there is his ex and that they went out for coffee. She then finds it interesting that he is already seeing his ex. He then asks her if he is disturbing her in something and says it's public there. She then says she just wants to understand why he's just with his ex. He then says they just went out to talk and that she's his friend and that's no problem. Then she says it's really funny being friends with his ex and then asks him if they are friends and that there is no friendship with exes. The other girl then wants to know why she's throwing a tantrum there and then asks what's going on. He then says he found her cheating on him with a boyfriend and she said her dress got stuck in the elevator. Meanwhile her ex, his girlfriend, looked at her with disdain and she then said that she was not giving any tantrum and that she respect her and tells him that she always told the truth to him about that day and he never wanted to know the truth. The ex-girlfriend then says she's shocked and asks him how she had the courage to cheat on him and then asks him if he's okay and if he needs to talk, but he says he's fine. The girl then says that she is sure that everything was a setup and that she never cheated on him, and says that she is absolutely sure that she was the one who set all that up in the elevator. The other one then says that it is already getting boring and asks if she has evidence to accuse her. But she says she still doesn't have proof, while the other says she can't accuse her without proof. He interferes in the conversation and says he knows what she wants, and then says she's doing that show there in the middle of the day street just to try to get back, and he keeps saying that he won't get back with her because she was the only one who cheated on him and that not even his ex who is there didn't cheat on him. But she insists on saying that she didn't cheat on him and that she swears on her life that she never cheated on him. He then tells her to enjoy that moment and tell the whole truth and also says that he and his ex are doing very well and that she can tell the truth to him. She then says she has nothing to say because she didn't cheat on him. He then tells her that damn it was the day he met her and that was what he had to tell her and that after everything that has happened he's not feeling at all well and that's why he went out with his ex to talk. He then asks her to get out of his apartment as soon as possible and that he doesn't want to see her anymore. She says she's sure it's his ex who was in the elevator and set everything up to be able to separate them and still appears out of nowhere to support him and says that it can only be her frame and then tells him that she will prove to him that it was all her ex's frame. The ex then says that that situation is already boring and still says that she lives on the first floor and that she doesn't even take the elevator. He then smiles and asks her to leave his apartment later that day and that he doesn't want to see her anymore and takes her hand of his ex and leaves there, leaving her alone, and she is furious with everything that happened there and then says that she will find out everything at that moment. She then goes to the building management and asks them to let her look at the security cameras, but the woman says that she cannot have access to the security cameras. The girl then offers her a certain amount to let her see the recordings. The woman then says that now yes they were talking, and then she asks to see what happened in the elevator. But the woman says that the cameras were turned off. She then wants to know if it is possible. The woman then says that only authorized people who can move the cameras. Suddenly she then asks the woman who is the boy who appears in the camera, and she says that he is the janitor and that he is responsible for cleaning the building. She then says that she does not believe it and that she knew he was involved with everything what happened to her, and she leaves in a hurry, and the woman stays there not knowing what was happening. While he is carefree cleaning in front of the building, she comes running and goes right away saying she wants to know what he did to destroy her marriage. He then says he doesn't know what she's talking about and that he doesn't even know her and says that he is a simple janitor and asks me to let him work. She then tells him that she already knows everything, and that if he doesn't tell the truth she will arrange for him to be fired from his job. He then asks her not to do anything that will harm him in his work and says that he has his wedding scheduled and that he has already bought the rings. She then says that it has nothing to do with his marriage and says that he destroyed her marriage and that if he doesn't say who told him to do all that she will ask for his resignation, so she asks him to speak at that moment who it was. He asks her to calm down and says he will talk, and then says that it was really her fiancé's ex who asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend and to delete all the cameras in the elevator and says that she even paid him with an amount very high and that was the only reason he did everything because he needed the money. She says she knew and called him clueless and says he ended her marriage and asks him if he would like the same thing to happen to him. He says no and apologizes to her. She then says he will help her to execute a plan to unmask the woman who played with her. He then asks her what she wants him to do. She then says that he is good at destroying other people's marriages and that he has to help her otherwise she will end his life and that he will even be without his job, and then she says she already knows what to do and that he just has to follow her orders. Later the girl is in the elevator and suddenly it stops and she is stuck there and despairs because she has an appointment and she cannot be late, and then she starts screaming for help. She then screams to know if someone can help her, but unfortunately no one hears. She then starts banging on the elevator walls calling for someone. Then he hears a voice that asks him if everything is okay and asks how she can help him. She then says that the elevator has stopped and that they need to fix it and that she has an appointment, and the voice then says that she will have to wait like any other person. She then says that she is very late, that she needs to get out of there urgently. The voice then says I'm sorry and there's nothing you can do, and then she says she knows that voice and then asks if it's really who she's thinking and calls her by name. Then she all ironically says that she found out it's her. The girl then tells the other to get her out of there at that moment and that she was not kidding. The owner of the voice then says that she wants her to confess that she set her up to end her marriage. But the owner of the voice says that she already caught her accomplice and that he confessed everything. She then says that she confesses and that she was jealous of her with her ex-boyfriend, and the voice continues saying that she is sure she set it up to end it. His wedding, and asks her to speak soon. She then says that she won't say anything, but the owner of the voice then tells her to remove her clothes at that moment and that if she doesn't take off she will let go of the elevator. She then says that everything but take her clothes off. The voice says it will count to 3 and if she doesn't let go of her clothes she lets go of the elevator. The girl then agrees and starts taking her clothes off while the other one outside starts counting, and when she finishes taking off her clothes she yells that it's ready and that she's taken it off and then asks you to please release her. At that moment the elevator opens and the first person she sees is her ex-boyfriend, who is going to call asking her to deliver him to his clothes. She then tries to cover herself with her arms and asks what is happening. The girl then tells her fiancé that she had set them both up. He then asks her how she had the courage to do all that to them and that he considered him as a friend. She then says she was tired and saying that she still loves him and that she can't stand to see him with his fiancé. He then asks her if she is realizing that she just tried to destroy his marriage and says that it is impossible to continue with her and that she is clueless and asks her to look what she has done. His fiancée then says that she set it all up for him to see that it was she who had done everything to separate them, creating friction between the two of them, and that she did all this and still says it was for love. The other then tells his fiancée that she has never loved anyone and that she does love him and that he is the man of her life. He then delivers her clothes and asks her to get out of her way. She takes the clothes and leave. He then apologizes to his fiancée for not believing her and that he was a complete asshole and that his ex set up everything to separate them. She then says she did everything she could to get him to forgive her and that she loves him and wants to be with him, but that if he continues to distrust her for silly things, he won't give her any more. He then apologizes and asks if she would accept to marry him. She says yes, and then he puts the ring on your finger again and hug each other happily.